and welcome to this Welcome Week 2020 event at the Department of Music. I am pleased to welcome one amazing human being who has been working with us at the Department of Music now for 5 years, I think. I've been here for 6, so it must be 5, if not 6.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Yeah.
Amazing. And this amazing human being is the second violinist in the world-acclaimed Tippett Quartet. I've had the privilege of working with as well, who are one of our ensembles in residence. Royal Holloway is lucky to have a number of ensembles in residence here, and the Tippett Quartet is one of them, who provide invaluable support and teaching to our students, and also lead our chamber music program, which is a year-long program that runs for all our chamber musicians and all those people who want to play in chamber settings, which is probably a wise step and a wise move in the current climate. So I will pass over now for a little bit of a presentation and any questions to Jeremy Isaac.
Cool. So, hi everyone. This is a brand new novel way of doing the speed dating chamber music get together. So, a little bit about what we do at Holloway. I'm assuming there are some. I recognise a few names and faces, and I also don't recognise a few as well. So, I'm welcome to the new people as well. The whole point. So the whole point of chamber music is that you're an individual, but part of a team. So that ranges from like the sheer execution of playing, say, a string quartet or a wind quintet or a brass quintet or whatever chamber group you're in. Musically, you're responsible, but it goes much, much further than that. It goes into the whole things like, forming a group. It's if you want to play chamber music, you will find other players, other people that you want to sort of play with. You'll organise your rehearsals. You'll sign up for the coaching sessions. You'll explore repertoire. You'll find. So it's a very individual process. So you all need to take responsibility. Slightly different to, say, an orchestral setting where, a conductor, choose. You can't have 65, 70 people choosing their favourite bit of repertoire. The conductor will often choose the repertoire, and you sort of turn up and you have a different set of you have a different role in that orchestral setting. But in the chamber music setting, you organise your rehearsals, you organise your groups, you organise your coachings and all that sort of thing by yourself. Having said that, we're not just people that just operate at the end of come in and do a coaching session. We're here to help. So if you're stuck, you're thinking, well, I've got a violin, a viola, cello, and a piano and a double bass. What can I do? Come and you can email and ask, and then we'll come up with repertoire solutions. Like the trap quintet or other bits and bobs for different combinations if you're sort of slightly stuck. So I think that's the most important thing. So it's great to see obviously so many people here now, but obviously there's a full department at your disposal. And I suppose actually it doesn't necessarily, it's not restricted to just people that are reading music. You might have friends that are doing other subjects that, are quite good at playing, I don't know, the cello or the piano or the trumpet or whatever it is. And they could, include them as well. If you enjoy it, that's the main thing. The main thing is just enjoying playing chamber music. So a little bit about the program. I think it's really important, especially given the current circumstances that we all find ourselves in, just to have a sort of clear idea of what's on offer and what's going to be produced. So back in end of May, June, July, that sort of time, myself and Nathan had a sort of discussion about how we're going to create a chamber program that's going to either be normal, as it has been for the past 5 years, a fully online digital sort of program, and then this blended online thing where we can sort of have some classes online, some classes in person. And alongside the amazing document that Nathan has shared in the chat with which I'm sure you probably all got anyway, given your there anyway, all the guidelines for actually safe sort of rehearsing, safe coaching, and all that sort of thing. Chamber music is winning at this moment in time. The fact that you can safely have 4 people in a room is brilliant. And there's enough spaces at Holloway where you can rehearse. Obviously, orchestras, you can't suddenly have 65, 70 people in Boiler House or wherever else they might rehearse. So actually, this is a really good opportunity for some ensemble playing. So what's on offer this term? So we're going to treat it as I've got a kind of a year plan. We operate term 1, term 2, but there's no point getting sort of bogged down with term 2 yet, because all manner of things might change. So what we're offering this term is 1 or maybe 2 in-person coaching sessions. So that'll be on an allocated evening, say like a Thursday evening, 6 till 9. There'll be half an hour windows to sign up. Next week, I think there's going to be a team of students that are allocated to the Tippett Quartet sort of chamber music program. So they'll be organising these sign up sessions. There'll be a Facebook group. We'll just change the dates from last year's group to this year's group, and that's where all the information gets sort of circulated. So it's a really easy and straightforward group to be signed up to. The sign-up sheet will go on there. You sign up. Mostly someone in the group takes responsibility to sign up, and you can then come and get coaching in person. I think obviously in-person coaching, no, I was going to say it's the best way of doing it. It is the only way of having chamber music coaching that's really successful. You can't really do chamber music coaching with 5 people online in separate locations. That is sort of game over. What we might end up doing, depending on the technology side of things, is have, for example, you guys in a room in Woodlands set up with a screen and speakers and stuff, and then a coach online. Not sure that's going to be particularly useful. It might be a bit, it might be, I don't think that's going to be a particularly good way to go this term. I think maybe something where a piece or some repertoire is nearing performance, you could get some feedback after you performed it, but to actually take a sort of coaching session, I think that might be one step a bit too far for this term. So like I say, 1 or 2 in-person sessions. Now, the online thing has been a bit of a problem last term, trying to sort of get to grips with how things work. But actually, I found that what we're going to be able to do is actually open up the number of sessions and expand that. So, like I say, 1 or 2 in-person sessions, probably with a member of the quartet. That doesn't limit it to just string playing, because chamber music is just chamber music. So, coaching a wind group is the same sort of process as coaching a piano quintet, a string quartet, a piano duo, that sort of thing. It's the same process. But what we found at Holloway, running this chamber music program now for 5 years, is that we like to then tailor to groups. So, for example, if there are 3 or 4 wind quintets, or 2 or 3 brass groups, or some string groups, it's then really nice to be able to offer you some specialist coaching. And what this online sort of setting has actually enabled me to do is actually expand those number of coaching sessions. So we've managed to double those for both this term and next term. So I'm hoping to arrange 3 online sessions with specialist instrumental chamber coaches. And that format will be a thing where you're not signing up as a group. So it's not like you're signing up and you're going to be in a room and they're going to be coaching you. it'll be more like an hour long session where, for example, you might go through some it'll be instrument specific. It'll be like brass session or a wind session or like a piano session, and it'll be run by a coach that will then be able to give you some insight into how things work, for example, in a brass quintet, how things work in a wind quintet, some maybe like some warm-up exercises, some things you can try as a group to improve your ensemble playing, to improve your interpretation, some repertoire that you may not have thought about, some sort of logistical things about seating, some other ways of rehearsing. You know, that's the benefit of this new online thing. You can actually probably access a few more people. So that's on the cards as well. Now, I'm not entirely sure, obviously, what instruments you will play, but obviously, us being a string quartet, we'll focus a little bit on the string side of things. And something I've put together for you this term is a virtual side-by-side quartet experience. The good thing about that is obviously you're not reliant on a certain number of people. So, you know, if there is only one viola player, that's great. You can still take part in this whole thing. And if there's like 15 violinists, that too can work. Same with cellists. So once we get an idea of the groups and stuff like that, we can then implement this side-by-side thing. So basically, it'll be a recording task. So we have pre-recorded some quartet repertoire, and we have created music -1 tracks. So there's a click track and there's a music -1 track. So effectively, you get to play. You can obviously mute your line. So say, for example, you're playing violin 2. You would mute the violin 2 line. You would then have the other 3 voices in your headphones, along with the relevant clicks to make sure you're all lined up. You'd have the music. You'd then learn your part, learn how it all fits together, record your part, send that part to me, and then because everything's on a grid, I can then create recordings of a virtual string quartet. So effectively, you're playing side by side with us, but then I'll be able to line that up with all the other Holloway string players and form separate sort of Holloway string quartets. So that's the plan for that, but that'll be later on in the term. And I think from that side of things, again, something that I've had to learn very, very quickly is obviously adapting. So it all links to your chamber music playing anyway. So, you know, if you're playing in a chamber group and all of a sudden someone to your right decides to speed up or slow down, or they sort of take a little breath here, or they want to phrase this bit here, or they've got the melody and you've got the accompaniment, you have to adapt and adjust to them. And this is just an sort of extension of that. You have to learn and adapt to the current sort of setting we're in. So learning how to use some recording software, learning how to line up with the click and line up with the other 3 parts on headphones, how to sort of do a recording that sounds good, and how to send that in a file format that's then good enough quality, is something that's really important. It's a really important skill that you can acquire, and who knows when it might be really useful. Unfortunately, I didn't have any of that when I was your age. You know, little do I know, you know, 20 years later, that actually knowing how to use certain bits of technology would be really, really handy. Cool. So that's sort of the outline of what we're offering. I think it might be quite nice. Nathan made a very good suggestion, just as we sort of touched base before we started the meeting, that it might be quite nice to actually hear and see what the Tippett Quartet do. So, Nathan, if you're present, if you could maybe share the video of us in Madrid.
You can see that?
I can see it.
Great.
Can't hear it. That's quite enough of that. So what might be, I don't know, I just thought while I was listening, that sort of took me back. That was a few years ago. And we've all kind of aged a little bit since then. But I think something that might be just a bit of insider information. So that was on that was live on a Spanish television show. Spanish TV, it was like a arts channel. And it was a Saturday afternoon. And I remember that because we flew to Madrid on the Friday. Now, us being very sensible and diligent and, you know, caring people, we thought, right, well, let's not fly in on the day, as most orchestras do. We'll fly in the day before, we'll get settled, it'd be great, we'll have a quick rehearsal, we'll do this, do that, turn up, go to the concert hall, get ready for the live broadcast with the audience, and that'll be fab. We turned up to the Gatwick airport at whatever time in the morning, and no, it was the afternoon. It was like just after lunch. But it felt like we spent most of Friday in Gatwick airport because our flight was the flight that was delayed. So we didn't leave Gatwick till about 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, a couple hours flight to Madrid, hours difference, landed in Madrid about midnight, had to then go and find the hotel, etc., etc. Spanish Friday night is like all-night party, so there was absolute carnage in the sort of square just outside our hotel. So we've all had about 20 minutes sleep. That was the encore from a program that was full of film music. So we did, film music composers. So we did some Korngold, some Roja, some Bernard Herrmann. We premiered a piece by a film composer called Alberto Iglesias. And all the while, in the back of our mind, we know that the return flight is possibly, I think the return flight was about 4 o'clock that afternoon. So the concert finished and we had a taxi waiting, and we knew that we had to get to the airport in time for this, that, and the other. So all manner of things are going on when you watch a performance. So something that I've learned over the years that I've been doing it, the audience don't really want to know whether you've had 20 minutes sleep and you've been delayed and this, that, and the other. You still have to give a good performance. And the most fantastic thing about chamber music is that you're able to share that experience with however many other people are in your group. So it's a really, I'm obviously a bit biased, but it's a great sort of medium to be working in. So anyway, that's enough about me and the quartet and all that sort of business. Does anyone have any questions? And I'm assuming that if you've got a question, how do I organise this? Nathan, perhaps you could help on this department, because you need to unmute. If people want to ask questions, do they just unmute themselves, or?
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to put the little emoticon up and to ask a question, and then you can unmute yourselves and come to the fore, even if it's just about Jeremy and his work, or about the chamber music program itself, about how ensembles are set up, how you can set ensembles up, when the next session is, all these sorts of things. If you had any question, please feel free to ask them now.
Yeah, go for it.
Please.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
Stefan's got one.
Brilliant, go for it.
Oh, hi, Jeremy.
Hey.
It was a nice performance. So I'm a composer, and I'm just wondering if you may accept new pieces for performance.
Absolutely. I think something that is, that is really, firstly, it's really important. It's really important to, as a composer, to have access to real life musicians. And as real life musicians, it's amazing to have access to a real life composer.
Definitely.
And that collaboration is really important. So if we can facilitate that in any way, we can. Something that works. So in terms of, from your point of view, if you want to write a new piece for a group, or if you have already got, say, like a chamber piece that you've already written that you just wanted a group to play, then I think the best way forward would be for you to find like 1 or 2 people that play those instruments that you know, that you like, and say, look, could you form this, like, you know, a quartet of, say, you know, clarinet, piano, violin, and ocarina, or whatever you've written for, like, and get the people together, and then sign up for a coaching session, and then you can come along as well. One thing that I should just make very clear to everyone about the coaching sessions: they're not coaching sessions where you turn up and, you know, you give this like amazing polished performance. They are work in progress sessions as well. So, for example, 4 of you could turn up. Stefan, you could also turn up, having written this piece, finished the day before, and say, right, here's all the new music. How do we go about putting this together? And those sort of things are invaluable, you know, to have someone from the group, from the quartet, or, you know, whoever else is coming in, so you know, a coach to come in and say, right, okay, this is how you set this up. You need to rehearse it like this. You can look at it like this. Have you thought about maybe breaking it up like this. Right, now, this bit, we need to ask Stefan this question because it's not that clear. Or Stefan, you need to just, express yourself to the group so they know exactly what you mean. So very much so, I think championing new music is really, really important. Having said that, in this new online sort of platform that we're sort of having to sort of adapt to, you can also create stuff, you can do stuff virtually as well. Right. So if you have the tech skills, which I'm sure you probably do, because I think maybe on Sibelius or Finale you can even create this. If you can create effectively like a MIDI template of something, a click track. So basically, if you can have something that unifies all the parts. So you can send, for example, an MP3 recording of the click track and the score, and maybe a guide part or something like that in the mix. So you can then send it around to 6 or 3 or 2, how many people you've written the piece for, and say, would you mind just recording your part? And then they can all record their part, email it back to you. You could then, for example, if we're doing one of those online things, perhaps I might even do a composer's chamber music online Q&A. You could then email in your piece, having had it recorded virtually by the students. And then you get an idea of how the piece works as well, if you have to go down the sort of the online route. So very much so, I think that dialogue between composer and chamber group is really important. We've had some amazing experiences with composers where actually you create something quite special if you've got that sort of access to the composer. And I think also from a composer's point of view, being able to sort of slightly experiment with and get feedback from musicians, I think that's a really cool thing, really nice thing to do. So very much included in the chamber music program. So again, I think the key word that I'd like you to all sort of think about is being proactive. This is not a thing where you're not required to attend a class and you just sort of sit there, enjoy the lecture or not enjoy the lecture and then go again. This is something that you create yourself. So being proactive, I think, is really important. If you put stuff into this program, then you'll get a lot of stuff out of it. So yeah, I hope that sort of vaguely answers your
Great, thank you so much.
Your question. Anyone else have anything they'd like to ask? Don't be shy. Sam, great, go for it.
Hi, I was wondering how, in your bit of an abstract one, but in your experience, how well can improvising chamber music fare?
Very well. It's the same process. It's still a question of starting, stopping, and accommodating others, isn't it? So whether you're playing a piece of Mozart that's all very carefully crafted, or you're playing something that's like a soundscape, as long as there is clear direction from each individual. So the thing that I sort of bang on about wherever I'm sort of teaching or coaching chamber music is that you're all the group is 100%, and you are a percentage of that group. So if you're a quartet, you're 25% each. You're all equal, and I think improvising anything would be great. I mean, we occasionally improvise things by accident as quartet, so it definitely works. It's a thing that like I say, carries all the same skills, listening skills, accommodating skills, all that sort of thing. So definitely improvise. I mean, whatever group you sort of choose. Are you thinking in terms of like jazz improvisation, or?
I've not really had any ideas yet. I've not quite got to know any musicians here yet, and I haven't really got any ideas. But yeah, it was just more of a general one. I think that I've always been interested in combining the jazz and the classical, and actually maybe doing something along those lines as a quartet might be quite interesting.
What instrument do you play?
Piano.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So something that we have got involved in, it's a bit more, say, on the traditional side of things, but we recreated an album that Frank Sinatra recorded with the Hollywood String Quartet. The album's called Close to You. And it was basically an album that he recorded in 1956 it was just a studio album, and all his friends would come and join. So basically he had the Hollywood String Quartet plus selected others. So like it might be, there's some tracks, there's piano and quartet and a trombone and what else is there, like drums and bass. It's like a rhythm section, and then other sort of instrumentalists that came in and recorded their track. The slight problem is that all the tracks on the disc are a bit sad and a bit sorrowful and all very slow. So making it into a live performance was difficult. So we then got different arrangements done of different jazz standards. And one of the most amazing things for us as sort of, traditional classical, string players, yes, we sit there and we play in the Hollywood sort of style. And then but we're also surrounded by these amazing sort of jazz musicians. So James Pearson from Ronnie Scott's was on piano, Matt Skelton on drums, and they did their improvising alongside, out within the chart, so they'd have their bit of improvisation. And for us, that was a great experience. So I think, combining those two, but it was still a chamber. There was only maximum of like 9 of us on and singer. So that's still chamber music. So all the same things applied, whether you're playing whatever piece of music. So yeah, I think. So Sam, you mentioned that you didn't know anyone else.
Not yet. No,
no, it's fine. So I think that's probably something that all of you, if any, all the first years that are, or anyone that's new, you're not going to know anyone. You're not going to know everyone. I suppose, how do you start? And I think the main way is actually just by start. You'll end up you'll know someone, you'll meet someone, and I think don't wait to be asked. Don't wait to be sort of, oh, perhaps they might ask me to be in a piano quintet or something, or they might ask me to be in this. If you've got a really clear idea about something, like you want to form a little jazz thing with this, that, and the other, and you've done some arrangements, or you've got some arrangements, say, right, great. Does anyone, send around an email to, something that worked really well in the previous years is there's the, obviously the Facebook chamber music group. There's also the, is it called the Music Society group? Or like, there's like a music department Facebook group where everyone's part of that. People have put messages on there saying, "Oh, I'm a singer. I'm looking for a pianist and a cellist to run through this piece of repertoire. Would anyone be interested?" And every time they always then form a group. And just by doing that, I think you're then just putting yourself in people's minds. I think it's very easy maybe just to sort of think, "Oh, I don't know anyone. I'm not quite sure how to do this." The best thing is actually just to have a go. My motto is, what's the worst that can happen is that no one replies, or someone replies, or someone says no. Would you like to be in this group with me? No. Okay, fair enough. I'll move on to someone else. But at least you've asked. If you don't ask, you're always going to be sort of thinking, "Oh, I wonder if and then that's a bit of time wasted." There's some amazing repertoire out there, so explore it. Cool. Any other questions from anyone else about anything? John, that looks like a very professional setup you have there. Are you a first year, or are you a returning student?
Yeah, I'm a first year. It's just that
Cool.
I had a microphone and stuff at home.
That's
so
brilliant. That's absolutely amazing. That's great. What instrument do you play?
Trombone is
Brilliant.
my main instrument, and sort of a little bit of guitar as well.
A little bit of guitar. Everyone's a little bit of guitar. That's good. So have you met any other brass players yet?
A couple, but not like a sort of just a brief like hello kind of thing.
Great. That's all you need. Just a brief hello is that's the door open, ready to go. So as long as you can remember their name. Oh yeah, it's just like multitasking central. Trying to do this and read the older chat. Cool. Thanks, Renee. See you soon. So yeah, John, that's all you need. You know their name. They own a trumpet. Brilliant. All right, let's do some duets. Or then if you know that person, then they're going to know 2 other people, and all of a sudden by the end of like a quick bit of chat, you've suddenly got a brass quintet. At which point you can then do some Gabrielli, whatever it is, or this, that, and the other. There was a group last year that did their own arrangements of stuff. They just arranged this, that, and the other, depending on what they sort of felt like doing. There's a great brass group called Septura, who have made it their business to nick all of our great sort of quartet repertoire and transcribe it for brass septet. And they're fantastic, a bunch of amazing players. And it's really nice to hear things like Shostakovich 8th Quartet played on brass instruments, for example. And again, it was just seeing them play that piece of music is interesting, because they're doing all the same things that we would do as string players, just they're playing it on brass instruments. So chamber music is it's universal. Cool. Who else have we got? I'm disappointed that no one has got any embarrassing sort of names left over on their sort of Zoom meeting profile. I did do a class at the end of last term at another place, and unfortunately one poor person did leave up their sort of Friday night pub quiz team name on their profile, which was very amusing for everyone else concerned. Cool. What does Drurev, what do you play?
I play the piano, drums, and a bit of guitar.
Brilliant. And a bit of guitar, you see, John? A bit of guitar. Everyone's got a bit of guitar. So piano's your main instrument.
Yeah.
What's your sort of and are you first year as well?
Yeah, I'm first year.
Yeah, fab. So what would your sort of high hopes be for your chamber music experience at Holloway?
Yeah, I was thinking of possibly joining a band of some sort.
Yeah. I
thought I'd come on here just to get some information in from you.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's I haven't thought about that before. But for example, you were in a a traditional sort of a band, guitars, drums, piano.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you can't sign up for some chamber music coaching. It's still music, and it's you're all in a group.
Yeah, absolutely.
You may have written your own songs or whatever it is. Why not get a bit of extra sort of advice on how you could then work better as a group? How you can then bounce ideas off each other. And actually, the more I sort of go through life, there's so many parallels to everything. Like you could watch us as a quartet and think, oh yeah, hang on a minute, Barge on cello, he's doing the same thing. He's doing something that actually really great that our bass player could do, in terms of how he's communicating, or how we sort of maybe rehearse or stuff like that. Or how do you rehearse a quartet? Is there someone that's in charge of it? And sometimes that could then translate and actually open up a whole series of things for you in that sort of band sort of oh, hello.
Yeah, I could find like a nice combination of whatever the instruments and see what actually works well together, and then I'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, chamber music again is just more than one person. So
Yeah.
you like, for example, we had a really fantastic couple of singers a few years ago. One was a sort of like a more poppy singer. One was a more sort of classically trained, opera type singer. And they just found some lovely repertoire with a pianist and came along for some coaching. And it was great because it's still two people making music. What's Nathan said there? You could also supplement your chamber program nutrition. Yeah. I think the whole thing of not building bridges, because the bridges are already there, but like cross-referencing all the things you do with other areas. For example, I think you may have had there might be an orchestral thing at some point. I did a video for Rebecca for her to show in one of her sessions. And the sort of the key thing was also that yes, we're doing a chamber music program, but actually all the things you learn in chamber music really help all the things you do in orchestral stuff, and all the things you learn in orchestral playing really help playing in chamber music. All the things you'd learn in, say, a band. I mean, for example, I do quite a few pop recording sessions. We do them as a quartet. I do them as a part of other groups. And actually hearing how, say, like if we're putting down, say, string tracks for a pop group or band, the way they think about the structure of their music, they're not thinking, oh, right, well, this piece is in D major and we're going to do 4 bars here, then we're going to do this development section here, then we're going to have the recap here, we're going to bring this theme back. They're not thinking in like, those traditions, they're thinking in kind of like, right, we're going to do this section and we're going to do this section, and I want it to sound a bit like this. And the language is completely different, but actually the same process goes on. And as long as you understand what the end goal is, you can still sort of succeed. So yeah, find a sort of combination of groups, a combination of people that sort of you enjoy and suits you, and that'd be fab. And sign up. The most important thing is signing up. It's really easy to think, oh no, we haven't rehearsed yet, it's not quite good enough, or oh no, I'm not quite ready yet, or that will go. There's 6 coaching sessions throughout the not 6. There's 3 in-person sessions this year. There might be 1 or 2 more depending if the sort of the logistics of the risk assessment stuff is okay. But you'll be amazed. So there's a 3-hour session, say like 6 till 9. There's 6 half-an-hour slots. Once people have signed up and those slots are taken, it's not like, oh, can you maybe just sort of do 3 more slots? No, because it's 6 till 9. Once those slots have gone, those slots have gone. So I think it's really important, just sign up. And again, it doesn't matter what state it's in. If you haven't rehearsed, it doesn't matter. It's all about just picking someone's brain. None of us, us in the quartet, whoever's coming along, or I choose the people coming, the external guests really carefully. Obviously, for their sort of professional expertise, but also for their, general competence in the coaching department. And then so there's nothing wrong. I mean, when I was studying, and I had coaching sessions. There's some people that turned up. What you don't really want from a half-an-hour coaching session is half an hour of absolute annihilation, and feeling about this big by the end of it. Necessarily, it's about sort of taking away something really, key points, and actually learning something so it can then benefit you. It's not a weekly chamber music class where you're on this, you're having it's a one-off half-an-hour information service. So it's as beneficial to us as it is to you. You come along, you just get as much information out of us as whoever it is as possible, and then continue being individual. Kai, what do you play? Also, I'm quite enjoying, that's a groovy background you got there. It's like, I think space might be quite preferable at the moment. But anyway, what do you play?
Hello, I'm Kevin. Yeah.
Oh, Kevin. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, you've got you got your Friday night Zoom thing on.
Right.
So you're Kevin. Cool. What do you play?
I play the piano.
Oh, cool. And so what's your, I love how often we get a lot of pianists turn up for the first session, the sort of the meeting, because I think us group players, if you know what I mean, and like orchestral instrument types, we're so used to meeting people that we just assume that it's going to happen. Whereas I think I've realised that actually pianists, it can be quite a solitary thing. You know, you're on stage on your own, potentially doing a piano recital, you're practicing on your own, you have your piano lesson, you know, it's all a bit sort of solitary. So any opportunity to sort of play with other people becomes like a sort of golden thing. So what's your sort of expectation? What would you like to get out of your sort of chamber music experience?
So actually for me, like I was mostly for solo performances, but I would like to have a try on the chamber music. Yeah, so maybe I could learn something from it. Yeah, so I'm quite looking forward to it. Yeah.
I mean, what would be quite good? Are you would you describe yourself as like a classical pianist?
Classical, yeah.
Yeah. So what I would suggest is maybe teaming up with, say, another pianist. If you can find another pianist, doesn't have to be just that, it could be in your year or any other year, and maybe find some duets. Maybe there's loads of duet repertoire. There's loads of duet stuff that have been, loads of pieces that have been arranged for piano duet. You know, like there are whole symphonies that have been reduced down into piano duet form. I think, like, you know, even like pictures at an exhibition, piano duet, that sort of thing. That would be, and it doesn't have, oh no, logistically, it might be good if it was just four hands, you know, as in two people at one piano. Actually, this is a good point. I haven't read the document yet, but Nathan, just a very quick question for you, because Nathan has spent most of the summer putting together an amazing document of survival guide. So he will know this information straight away. If people want to play piano duets, are they allowed to?
Unfortunately not, but we do have a 2-piano room. So Woodlands Room 2, which we use for our chamber music program, has a Steinway Grand and a Boston Upright near each other that you could socially distance on.
Great.
We also have 5 Roland high-spec hammer keyboards, which also can be used by, you know, taking around to a particular space that you need them to be in, and do 2-piano work there as well.
Cool. Right, that's brilliant. That's good. So Kevin, that's really important stuff, because first of all, that means it's A, possible, and B, because I know from organising chamber festivals and stuff, there are some pieces that are written specifically for 2 pianos, and some that are specifically written for 2 people on 1 piano. So I think all bases are completely covered. So find a duo partner. It sounds like Sam might actually have some arrangements. So already, you might have even found a bit of a connection. So send Sam a quick email. What arrangements have you got? Sam say, I've got this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And you can say, great, right, I'll team up with you, Sam, and let's meet on, I don't know, on Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning, and let's bash through some piano duets or whatever it is. And you think, oh, brilliant, I love this, or actually, I hate this. Right, next, I'll try something else. But it doesn't matter, as long as it provokes a reaction. As long as you think, yes, I like that, or no, I don't like that, then you're going to know which direction you want to go in. And if you don't try, if you're not proactive, then you're not going to know. I think that's brilliant. Well, yeah, don't bash, and don't do any prepared piano.
No, not without my say so. Well, Jeremy,
Cool.
I'd just like to extend a thanks for coming along and sharing a little insight into the program. As I said to everyone, people have had to sort of dip in and out because there's other sessions going on. But I hope those who are remaining enjoyed and found it helpful. And as Jeremy said, there is a Facebook group which I'm going to be populating on social media in the coming week or weeks. So make sure that you sign up to the Facebook groups. There will be a nice community of chamber musicians there as well. And this recorded introduction as well will be put on Student Intranet for anybody who's out there and wants to come back to it in their own time and find out what chamber music programs like at Royal Holloway. So hopefully we'll give a little virtual emoticon clap, and a huge thanks to Jeremy.
Cool. Nice to meet everyone, and see you all soon, hopefully.